My parents didn't miss my college graduation. They chose my brother's Little League game, his third of the season. The text arrived at 6:47 a.m. Can't make it today. Tyler's pitching. So proud. We'll celebrate later. Later never came. By noon, I stood on the University of Washington stage, seat 12 inches, the family section gleaming empty under June sun. Around me, 2,400 families cheered. In front of me, polished metal where mine should have been. A classmate's father filmed everything: that empty chair, my face when they called my name. 890,000 views by evening. Dad's colleagues saw it. Mom's entire book club. Then my brother called, crying everyone at his school had watched. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how we got there, to that empty chair, to that video, to the moment everything shattered, you need to understand how we started. The email arrived on a Tuesday in March, at 6:23 a.m. I was in my apartment, if you could call it that. More accurately, I was in a converted storage room in a house I shared with 5 other students, the kind of place where you could hear your upstairs neighbor's alarm through the ceiling and smell your downstairs neighbor's burnt toast through the floorboards. I'd been awake since 5, because I worked the opening shift at a campus coffee shop that started at 6:30. My shift began in 7 minutes, but I'd made the mistake of checking my phone. Subject: Admission, Decision, University of Washington. My hands shook as I opened it. Dear Jasmine Chen, congratulations. It is our pleasure to offer you admission to the University of Washington. I had to read it 3 times before my brain processed the words. 4 years of undergraduate work. 4 years of 3.89 gigapascals. Of study groups that lasted until 3 a.m. Of choosing between textbooks and groceries. 4 years of scholarships pieced together like a patchwork quilt. Of work-study programs and weekend shifts and summer jobs that left no time for internships. It had all led here. In recognition of your exceptional academic achievement, we are pleased to offer you the Presidential Merit Scholarship in the amount of $18,000 per year. $72,000. For a master's degree I'd dreamed about since I was 16, when I first understood that education could be a bridge out of being invisible. I called my parents immediately. Mom answered on the 4th ring. Jasmine? It's 6:30 in the morning. I got in. The words tumbled out. UW. Graduate program? They gave me $18,000 a year. There was a pause. 3 seconds of silence that felt like 3 hours. Oh, that's nice, honey. Nice. I swallowed the disappointment, trying to crawl up my throat. It's the presidential scholarship, Mom. They only give it to... That's wonderful. Listen, your father's getting ready for work. But we'll talk about it later. Okay? Congratulations. The line went dead. I stood there in my storage room, turned bedroom, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to silence. Outside my single window, Seattle was waking up. Cars were starting. People were heading to jobs, to classes, to lives that made sense. I was 21 years old, and I'd just received the best news of my life. And my mother had said it was nice. I need to tell you about a promise. I was 7 years old, sitting in the back of our Toyota Camry, when my dad turned around from the driver's seat and looked at me with an expression I'd later recognize as pride. Jasmine, he said, when you do something great, really great, we'll be there. Your mom and I, we'll always be there for your big moments. It was the day I'd won the school spelling bee. 3rd grade. I'd beaten 5th graders. The principal had called my parents at work to tell them. My dad had taken the afternoon off to pick me up. That's a promise, he'd said. Your big moments are our big moments. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? I was 7. Tyler was born when I was 12. I remember the day Mom came home from the hospital, this tiny, red-faced bundle in her arms, Dad hovering like she was carrying glass. I remember thinking he was cute. I remember holding him while Mom slept, feeling like a real big sister, imagining all the things I'd teach him. I didn't know yet that he'd become the son their world revolved around. It started small. Mom missing my 8th grade awards ceremony because Tyler had a checkup. Dad skipping my high school debate tournament finals because Tyler's soccer team made playoffs. My 15th birthday dinner canceled because Tyler was having a hard day and needed attention. You understand, right, Jasmine? Mom would say. You're older. You're more independent. Tyler needs us more right now. I did understand. Or I told myself I did. By the time I was 16 and Tyler was 4, the pattern was set. His needs came first. His activities, his schedule, his moods, they shaped our family calendar like the moon shapes tides. When I made National Honor Society, they said they'd come to the induction ceremony. Tyler had a t-ball game that ran late. They missed it. When I got accepted to UW for undergrad with a partial scholarship, we went to dinner at Applebee's. It lasted 45 minutes before Tyler got cranky and we had to leave. When Tyler scored his first goal in kindergarten soccer, Dad took a half day off work. We went to his favorite restaurant. Mom bought a cake. We stayed for 2.5 hours. I kept a mental tally. The way you do when you're trying to convince yourself you're imagining things. The way you do when you're hoping the numbers will prove you wrong. They never did. The morning I got my UW graduate acceptance, I went to work anyway. 5-hour shift. Made 73 lattes, 42 cappuccinos, 16 pour-overs. Smiled at customers who didn't tip. Cleaned the espresso machine until my hands smelled like coffee grounds and chemical cleaner. My phone buzzed at 2:47 p.m. Mom, Tyler made the Little League travel team. We're so proud. He's been working so hard. Dad's taking him to Dick's to get new equipment. This is such a big deal. 3 exclamation points. I stared at the message for 30 seconds. Then I typed, "That's great. Did you get my voicemail about UW?" The response came 4 minutes later. Mom, yes honey, very nice. Did you need something? I deleted the text I was writing. Then I deleted it again. Then I just put my phone away. Let me tell you about money, because money tells you what people value. From age 14 to 21, I worked. Not work-study, not internships, actual jobs. Cashier at Target. Barista at 3 different coffee shops. Tutor for rich kids whose parents paid me $20 an hour to teach them algebra their private school teachers had already explained. Dog walker. House sitter. One memorable summer, I wore a sandwich board outside a tax preparation office in 90-degree heat. I worked because my parents told me they couldn't afford to help with college. We're stretched thin, Jasmine, Dad had said when I was 17, starting to apply. We'll help where we can, but you need to be realistic. Student loans are normal. Everyone has them. I was realistic. I took out $38,000 in loans over 4 years. I worked 30 hours a week during school, 60 during summers. I bought textbooks used, clothes from Goodwill, food from the discount rack. My freshman roommate went to Cancun for spring break. I worked a catering company's Easter brunch service. I graduated with a 3.89 gigapascals, Phi Beta Kappa, Dean's List every single quarter. My parents contributed $0. Here's what I learned later. Tyler's Little League travel team cost $3,200 per season. He played spring season, summer season, fall season. That's $9,600 per year. He'd been playing since age 7. You do the math. Private pitching coach. $150 per session, twice monthly. New equipment every season. $400, 600. Tournament travel. $2,000, $3,000 annually. Uniform upgrades. $200. Team fees, fundraisers, photos, banquets. Another $1,000. Conservative estimate. My parents spent at least $12,000 per year on Tyler's baseball. For 4 years, while I took out loans and worked myself thin, they spent $48,000 on travel baseball. But they were stretched thin. They couldn't help with college. I didn't know these numbers yet. Not on that March morning when the acceptance letter arrived. I wouldn't know them for months, not until after graduation, Not until the day everything broke open and I finally saw the full picture. But somewhere deep in my bones, I knew something was wrong. I just didn't want to believe it yet. My family, explained. Robert and Linda Chen. Married 25 years. 2 children. Me, Jasmine, age 22. Tyler, age 10. On paper, we looked normal. Dad worked insurance sales. Mom worked part-time at a dentist's office. We lived in a 3-bedroom house in Shoreline, a Seattle suburb where houses had lawns and people waved to neighbors. We went to church on Christmas and Easter. We had a dog named Biscuit. We looked like we belonged in a stock photo labeled, Happy Family. But here's what stock photos don't show: the invisible architecture of favoritism, the 1,000 small ways a family decides one child matters more than the other. Let me show you the blueprint. Age 8 me, 16 Tyler. My middle school held an art show. I'd spent 3 months on a painting for the advanced art class. This massive watercolor landscape that my teacher said showed remarkable technical skill and emotional depth. It was the first thing I'd made that felt like mine, like I'd pulled something from inside my chest and given it shape. The show was on a Thursday night, 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be there, Mom promised. Wouldn't miss it. Tyler had soccer practice until 7, 45 minutes away. They showed up at 7:52 p.m. The show ended at 8. I'd been standing next to my painting for 2 hours, watching other kids' families take photos, watching my art teacher glance at me with pity. Traffic was terrible, Dad said. They looked at my painting for 30 seconds. It's very nice, honey, Mom said. Ready to go? Tyler needs dinner. We left at 7:56. 2 months later, Tyler's soccer team made the playoffs. It was a Saturday tournament. 3 games across the entire day. We were there for all 12 hours. Dad took the day off work. Mom packed a cooler. We had a picnic between games. They took 47 photos. I counted. In exactly one of those photos, I'm visible in the background. Age 10 me 18 Tyler. I was applying to colleges. It was the fall of my senior year, the most stressful semester of my life. I needed to write essays, request transcripts, schedule SAT subject tests. I needed to research scholarships because I knew I already knew that I'd be paying for most of this myself. I asked my parents if I could take an SAT prep course. $400 for 8 weeks. My friend Hannah's parents had signed her up. She'd raised her score 200 points. That seems expensive, Dad said. Can't you just study on your own? There are books. I studied on my own. I raised my score 140 points through sheer force of will and $3 used test prep books. That same fall, Tyler's Little League coach recommended private pitching lessons. $150 per session, twice a month. This could really develop his potential, the coach had said. Dad signed him up that week. Tyler went to those pitching lessons for 3 years. 72 sessions, $10,800. I went to college with a 1,420 SAT score I'd earned alone. Age 13, me, 21 Tyler. My 21st birthday fell on a Saturday in November. I'd been planning it for weeks, nothing big, just dinner with my family at this nice Italian place downtown. I'd made a reservation. I'd asked them to come 6 weeks in advance. Of course we'll be there, Mom had said. 21st birthday. That's a milestone. The Friday before, Tyler's travel team announced a last-minute tournament, out of state, leaving Saturday morning. I'm so sorry, honey. Mom told me over the phone. This is a really important tournament. Scouts are going to be there. Tyler's coach says this could be big for his future. He's 9 years old, I said. You know what I mean. This is a big opportunity. It's my 21st birthday. I know, and we feel terrible. But you understand, right? This is for Tyler's future. We can celebrate your birthday next weekend. We never did. Tyler's team placed 3rd in that tournament. They got a trophy the size of a toaster. I spent my 21st birthday with my roommate at a bar, drinking well vodka, pretending it didn't matter. Let me tell you about Tyler himself. Because this isn't his fault. He was a good kid. Sweet, actually. The kind of 10-year-old who still hugged his parents goodbye and cried during sad movies. He didn't ask to be the golden child. He didn't ask for our parents to center the universe around his baseball schedule. He just existed, and they decided he was the sun. I didn't hate him. I need you to understand that. I hated what he represented, the evidence that I wasn't enough. That no matter what I achieved, it would never matter as much as his little league RBI. Sometimes he'd ask about me. "How's Jasmine doing at college?" I'd hear him say to Mom on the phone. "Oh, she's fine. Busy with school." Fine. Busy. Two words that summarized my entire existence in their minds. By the spring of my senior year at UW, I'd learned not to expect much. I'd learned that if I wanted someone at my academic awards ceremony, I should invite friends, not family. I'd learned that my accomplishments would be met with, "That's nice, honey," while Tyler's would be met with photo albums and celebration dinners. I'd learned that love, in my family, was a finite resource, and most of it was allocated elsewhere. I'd learned to be invisible. But graduation was supposed to be different. 4 years of undergraduate work, Phi Beta Kappa, Dean's List every quarter, $52,000 in scholarships earned through applications and essays and interviews. 3 part-time jobs maintained simultaneously. A thesis that my advisor said was publishable quality. Graduation was supposed to be the moment that justified it all. The moment they'd see me. Really see me. I sent them the invitation in April, 8 weeks before the ceremony. Physical invitation, not just email. Cream-colored cardstock with embossed lettering. I'd bought it at the university bookstore for $4.50. I didn't really have to spare. Linda and Robert Chen. You are cordially invited to attend. The University of Washington. College of Arts and Sciences. Commencement ceremony. Saturday, June 12th, 11 a.m. Alaska Airlines Arena. Your daughter, Jasmine Chen, will be receiving Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. I included a note on separate paper. I've reserved seats for you in Section H. Row 11. I hope you can make it. This is really important to me. Mom called 2 days after I sent it. Got your invitation. Very fancy. Of course we'll be there. Really? I hated how hopeful I sounded. Jasmine. It's your college graduation. We wouldn't miss it. Something in my chest unclenched. Thank you, I said. It means a lot. We're proud of you, honey. Even if we don't always say it, we're proud. I believed her. God help me. I believed her. Graduation morning, I woke up at 5:30 a.m. Couldn't sleep anyway. Too much adrenaline, too much hope, too much of this feeling that today finally was going to be the day my parents saw me. Really saw me. Not as the older child who understood. Not as the independent one who didn't need as much, but as their daughter who'd worked herself to the bone and made it anyway. I'd bought a dress for under the graduation gown, navy blue, fitted, the kind of thing that made me look like I had my life together. $47 at Nordstrom Rack, which was about $40 more than I usually spent on clothes. I'd been saving for it for 2 months. I did my makeup carefully. Not too much. I'd learned in college that I looked better with less, but enough that I didn't look as exhausted as I felt. Concealer for the dark circles, mascara, lip gloss. I looked in the bathroom mirror and thought, you did it. 4 years. You actually did it. My phone buzzed at 6:47 a.m. Mom, can't make it today. Tyler's pitching in the Little League game at noon. It's against the top team in the division. So proud of him. We'll celebrate later. Congratulations on your graduation. I read it 3 times. Then I sat down on the closed toilet lid and stared at the screen until the words stopped making sense. Can't make it. Tyler's pitching. We'll celebrate later. My hands were shaking. I called her. It went straight to voicemail. I called Dad. Voicemail. I called Mom again. 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 By the fourth attempt, I understood. They'd turned their phones off. I need to pause here and tell you something about hope. Hope isn't logical. Hope doesn't care about patterns or evidence, or every previous time your parents chose your brother's baseball game over your award ceremony. Hope doesn't care that you've been trained, through years of careful disappointment, to expect nothing. Hope is the stubborn animal part of your brain that says, but maybe this time. This is graduation. They promised. They wouldn't miss this. That's the part of me that got dressed anyway. That put on the navy blue dress and the graduation gown and drove to Alaska Airlines Arena with my heart trying to crawl out of my throat. That's the part that still believed they might show up. The arena was chaos. 2,400 graduates, 8,000 family members, cameras everywhere, flowers everywhere, this thick atmosphere of joy and pride, and families that showed up. I found my section at 9:30 a.m., 2 hours early. I'd gotten there early specifically to save seats for my family. Section H, row 11, seats 11 to 14. 4 seats, me, plus 3 for Mom, Dad, Tyler. I put programs on each seat. Physical markers. This space is taken. This space is for my family. Around me, other families were arriving, hugging, taking photos, crying. Grandparents, aunts and uncles, little siblings in uncomfortable dress clothes. So many people who'd shown up. I checked my phone. 10:15 a.m. No messages. 10:30 a.m. Nothing. I called again. Voicemail. 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 At 10:45 a.m., 15 minutes before the ceremony started, a woman approached me. Middle-aged, kind eyes, holding the hand of a girl about 7 years old. "Excuse me, honey," she said. "Are these seats taken?" She pointed at seats 12, 13, and 14. The seats I'd saved for my parents. I looked at the empty chairs. At the programs I'd placed there like prayers. At this woman and her granddaughter, who'd actually shown up for their person. "No," I heard myself say. "They're not taken." She smiled. "Thank you so much. My daughter's graduating. Are you graduating too? Is this your seat?" "Yes." "Where's your family?" The question hung in the air between us like smoke. "They couldn't make it," I said. Her smile faltered. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry." She sat down in seat 12, the seat my mother was supposed to occupy. Her granddaughter sat in seat 13, Tyler's seat. I stared at them and felt something crack in my chest. The ceremony started at 11 a.m. exactly. Processional music. 2,400 graduates filing in. The arena was packed, families standing when their person walked by, cheering, holding signs, taking videos. I walked to my seat in the graduate section, looked back at section H, row 11. Seat 11 was empty. My seat, before I'd moved to the graduate section. Seats 12 to 14 held strangers. No one was there for me. Here's what a graduation ceremony looks like when your family doesn't show up. 2 hours of speeches you don't hear because you're scanning the crowd every 3 minutes, hoping you miss them, hoping they're stuck in traffic, hoping they'll burst through the doors late but present. They never do. 2 hours of watching other families cheer for their graduates while your row stays silent when your name is called. 2 hours of understanding, with increasing clarity, that this isn't a mistake or bad timing or traffic. This is a choice. They chose his Little League game, his third game of the season, over my college graduation. My name was called at 12:47 p.m. Jasmine Marie Chen, Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Magna cum laude. Phi Beta Kappa. I walked across the stage, shook the dean's hand, accepted my diploma cover. The actual diploma would come by mail. 2,000 people in that arena. The section where my family should have been sitting. Silent. Not a single person cheered for me. I didn't cry. Not then. I just walked back to my seat, sat down, and felt the weight of 4 years of work dissolve into nothing. This was supposed to be the moment that mattered. It didn't matter at all. After the ceremony ended, I stood in the arena lobby while families took photos. Professional photographer, amateur photographer, everyone capturing this moment. Graduates with their parents, their grandparents, their siblings, their friends. I stood alone in my graduation gown and took a selfie. One photo. Just me. Evidence that I'd been there, even if no one else cared. A man approached me, someone's father. Kind face, camera in hand. "Would you like me to take your photo?" he asked. "It's okay," I said. "I'm fine." "Are you here alone?" I nodded. His expression shifted to something like horror. "I'm so sorry. Let me take your picture. You deserve to have someone document this." He took 3 photos of me. I never saw him again, but I still have those pictures. Proof that a stranger cared more about my graduation than my own parents. I was walking to my car at 2:15 p.m. when I overheard it. 2 women, standing near the parking garage entrance. I didn't know them, someone's relatives, maybe, or family friends. They were talking, voices carrying in the concrete space. "Can't believe they set up that trust fund just for the younger one woman was saying. "I mean, I understand wanting to help your kids, but to completely exclude the older daughter?" "I know. Linda told me they've been contributing $500 a month since Tyler was born. It's over 100,000 by now." I stopped walking. My brain tried to process the words and failed. Trust fund. 500 a month. Tyler. Over $100,000. The women kept talking, but I couldn't hear them anymore. There was a ringing in my ears, loud and insistent, drowning out everything else. I stood there, in my graduation gown, diploma cover in hand, $38,000 in student loans to my name, and my parents had a trust fund for Tyler worth over $100,000. A trust fund they'd been contributing to for 10 years. While I worked 3 jobs and took out loans and ate ramen for dinner because I couldn't afford anything else. While they told me they were stretched thin. While they said they couldn't help with college. While I believed them. I drove home in silence. No music, no podcasts, just me and the sound of tires on asphalt, and the slow, horrible understanding that my entire childhood had been a lie. They had money. They had money, and they chose not to spend it on me. They had money, and they chose Tyler. Every single time. My phone buzzed at 4:32 p.m. "Mom, how was graduation? Hope it went well." 3 words. 14 characters. An exclamation point that felt like a slap. I stared at the message for 5 minutes. Then I typed, "It was fine. You would have known if you'd been there." I deleted it. Typed, "How was Tyler's game?" Deleted it. Typed, "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Deleted it. Finally, I just turned my phone off. I sat in my apartment, my storage room turned bedroom that I paid for with coffee shop wages, still wearing my graduation gown, and let myself cry for the first time all day. Not because they'd missed graduation, but because I'd finally understood. They'd been missing me my entire life. And I'd spent 22 years hoping they'd notice. On my desk, under a stack of textbooks I'd probably never open again, was the cream-colored invitation I'd sent them. "This is really important to me," I'd written. It was important to me. It just wasn't important to them. That's the thing about betrayal, it's not one moment. It's the slow accumulation of 1,000 small abandonments until the weight becomes unbearable and the foundation cracks. My foundation had been cracking for years. Graduation day, it finally broke. And the broken pieces revealed something I'd been too afraid to see. A trust fund worth over $100,000, built while I starved. I didn't know yet what I'd do with that information. But I knew I was done being invisible. I didn't confront them. Not that day. Not the next. Not for 3 days after graduation while their congratulations text sat unanswered in my phone and the words, "Trust fund," echoed in my head like a song I couldn't stop hearing. I needed to be sure. Because there was still this small, desperate part of me that wanted to be wrong. That wanted those women in the parking garage to have been talking about someone else's family, some other Linda and Robert who had 2 kids and made horrific financial choices. Maybe I'd misheard. Maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe grief and disappointment had made me paranoid. On the 3rd day after graduation, Tuesday, June 15th, Mom called. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Jasmine, finally. I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy. My voice sounded flat even to my own ears. Well, I wanted to see if you'd come to dinner on Friday. We feel terrible about missing graduation. We want to celebrate properly. Celebrate properly. As if missing the actual event could be fixed with pasta and apologies. I don't know if I can make it, I said. Please? It's important to your father and me. And Tyler wants to see you. He feels bad about everything. Tyler feels bad. Not, we feel bad. Tyler. I'll think about it, I said, and hung up before she could respond. Friday came. I told myself I was going to dinner to be the bigger person. To accept their apology. To maybe hear an explanation that would make sense of the past 22 years. I was lying to myself. I was going because I needed to get into their house. I needed to find proof. I arrived at 6:30 p.m. with a bottle of wine I'd bought for $11 at Trader Joe's, the kind of gesture that said, I'm trying, without actually costing money I didn't have. Mom answered the door with a hug that felt performative. Oh, honey, we're so glad you're here. Come in, come in. The house smelled like garlic and tomato sauce. Dad was in the kitchen. Tyler was setting the table. Normal. Disgustingly normal. Jasmine! Tyler ran up and hugged my waist. He was 10, all gangly limbs and missing teeth. Mom said you're not mad at us. I looked at my mother over his head. She smiled, shrugged. I told him everything's fine. Everything's fine. I extracted myself from Tyler's hug. Hey, buddy, how was your game? His face lit up. We won. I pitched 4 innings and only gave up 2 runs, and coach said I have a real future and… That's great, I interrupted. I need to use the bathroom. I didn't wait for permission. Their home office was on the 2nd floor, tucked between the master bedroom and the bathroom. I'd been in it 1,000 times growing up, doing homework at Dad's desk while he worked late, printing school projects, looking for stamps. Now I was looking for evidence. I told myself I had 2 minutes, maybe 3 before someone came looking. The desk was organized chaos stacks of papers, bills, folders, labeled in Mom's precise handwriting. I rifled through them with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Electric bill, water bill, credit card statement, Tyler's baseball registration forms. Nothing. I opened the desk drawer. Pens, sticky notes, owner's manual for a printer we didn't have anymore. Nothing. I was about to give up to accept that maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe those women were talking about someone else when I saw the folder. Dark blue. Tucked in the back of the bottom drawer like it was hiding. Tab label in Dad's handwriting. Tyler, college fund. My heart stopped. I pulled it out. Opened it. And there it was. Wells Fargo custodial account statement. Account holder. Tyler James Chen. Custodians. Robert Chen, Linda Chen. Current balance as of May 31st. $127,480.38. I had to read the number 3 times before my brain processed it. $127,480. For Tyler, for college, for a future they'd been planning since the day he was born. My hands were shaking so hard the paper rattled. I flipped through the statement. Monthly deposits going back 10 years. $500, every single month, like clockwork. 10 years times 12 months times $500. 60,000 in deposits. 67,000 in investment growth. They'd been building this the entire time I was in college. The entire time I was working 3 jobs. The entire time I was taking out loans. The entire time they told me they were stretched thin. Jasmine? You okay up there? Mom's voice from downstairs. I shoved the statement back into the folder. Shoved the folder back into the drawer. My hands were trembling so badly I almost dropped it. Yeah, I called. My voice sounded wrong. Too high. Just a second. I made it to the bathroom, turned on the sink, stared at my reflection in the mirror. My face was white, eyes too wide. I looked like someone had hit me. I splashed cold water on my cheeks, breathed. $127,000. They had $127,000 for Tyler, and I had $38,000 in debt. Dinner was lasagna. Mom had made my favorite, the recipe with ricotta and Italian sausage that she only made for special occasions. There was garlic bread, salad, the nice plates, an apology dinner. I sat at the table and pushed food around my plate while Dad talked about work and Tyler talked about baseball and Mom asked gentle questions about my job search. Any leads yet, honey? I know the market's tough. The market's tough. As if that was my biggest problem. I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the table. I wanted to demand. Why? Why him and not me? What did I do wrong? What was so fundamentally insufficient about me that you couldn't save a single dollar for my future? Instead, I smiled, nodded, said, "Not yet, but I'm applying." At 8:15 p.m., Dad cleared his throat. "Jasmine, we want to apologize for missing graduation. That was wrong of us." I set down my fork. "We got caught up in Tyler's tournament," Mom added. "It was a big game and we made a mistake. We should have been there." "It was your college graduation," Dad continued. "That's important. You worked hard. We're proud of you." They looked at me expectantly, waiting for absolution, waiting for me to say, "It's okay. I understand. I forgive you." I'd said those words 1,000 times before. Not this time. "How much have you saved for Tyler's college?" I heard myself ask. The question landed like a grenade. Mom's smile froze. Dad's expression went carefully blank. "What?" Mom said. "His college fund. How much is in it?" Silence. Tyler looked between us, confused. "What college fund?" "Jasmine," Dad said slowly. "I don't think this is an appropriate dinner conversation." "How much?" More silence. Then Mom laughed. Nervous. False. "Honey, I don't know what you're talking about." I saw the statement. Wells Fargo. $127,000. You could have heard a pin drop. Tyler's eyes went wide. "We have $100,000? Dad's jaw tightened. "You went through our private files? You've been saving $500 a month for 10 years. My voice was shaking now. "For him. While I took out loans. While I worked 3 jobs." "That's different," Mom started. "How is it different?" "Tyler's younger. We've had more time to plan. When you were his age, we didn't have the financial stability." "Stop lying." The words cut through the kitchen like a knife. Mom's face went red. "Excuse me? You're lying. You had money. You chose not to spend it on me." "Jasmine, that's not fair. You missed my college graduation for his Little League game." My voice cracked. "His 3rd game of the season. And you have $127,000 saved for his future, while I have $38,000 in debt." I stood up. "Thank you for dinner." I walked out before anyone could stop me. I didn't go home. I drove to Priya's apartment instead, my best friend since sophomore year of college. The kind of friend who'd helped me study for finals and held my hair when I had food poisoning and never once judged me for being broke. I knocked on her door at 8:47 p.m. She took one look at my face and pulled me inside. "What happened?" I told her everything. The parking garage conversation, the dinner, the statement I'd found, the number I couldn't stop seeing behind my eyelids. $127,480.38. Priya listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "That's not favoritism, Joss. That's financial abuse through neglect." I stared at her. What? They had resources. They chose to withhold them from you, while providing them to your brother. That's not just unfair. That's abuse. The word hung between us. Abuse. I don't know if I'd call it. What else would you call it? Priya's voice was gentle but firm. You went into debt. You worked yourself to exhaustion. You ate ramen for dinner because you couldn't afford anything else. And the whole time, they had money. They just didn't give it to you. My throat felt tight. I need to see the full statement, I said. The one I found was just one page. There has to be more. Can you get back into their house? I thought about it. Mom and Dad both work during the day. Tyler had school. Tuesday, I said. They're both at work Tuesday. I still have a key. Priya nodded. Then Tuesday, we go get evidence. Tuesday, June 22nd, 10:30 a.m. I used my house key for the first time in 3 years. They'd given it to me when I moved out for college, in case of emergencies. I wondered if this counted. Priya waited in the car. If they come home early, I'll text you. You'll have about 3 minutes to get out. My heart was hammering as I let myself in. The house was empty, silent. I'd grown up here, but it felt foreign now, like I was trespassing. I went straight to the office. The folder was exactly where I'd left it. This time, I didn't just look. I took photos. Every single page. Wells Fargo custodial account statement. Account type: Uniform Transfers to Minors Act, UTMA. Beneficiary: Tyler James Chen. Date of birth: the 15th of March, 2013. Account opened: the 28th of March, 2013. 13 days after he was born. They'd opened it 13 days after he was born. Account custodians: Robert Andrew Chen. Linda Marie Chen. Current balance, as of the 31st of May 2023, $127,480.38. Contribution history. Monthly deposits, $500. Frequency, 120 consecutive months. Total contributed, $60,000. Investment growth, $67,480.38. I photographed everything. The summary page. The transaction history showing deposits on the 15th of every month, Tyler's birthday going back 10 years. The investment allocation. The projected balance at age 18, $284,000. By the time Tyler graduated high school, this account would have nearly $300,000. I'd graduated college with $38,000 in loans and a diploma I'd bought with my own blood. I found more in a filing cabinet. Tyler. Educational planning folder. 529 college savings plan statements, separate from the UTMA account. $43,000. Baseball expenses spreadsheet. $11,400 annually for the past 3 years. Private school application materials for middle school. $18,000 year tuition. Notes in mom's handwriting. Tyler's education fund timeline. Fully funded by age 18. Enough for 4 years undergrad plus graduate school if needed. Graduate school. They'd planned for him to go to graduate school. I'd had to beg for $400 for SAT prep. In Dad's desk drawer, I found my own folder. Jasmine, college. It was thin. So thin. Inside. My acceptance letter to UW, undergrad. A single printed email from Dad to Mom, dated my freshman year. Jasmine asking about help with textbooks. Told her we'll think about it. Can we afford $200? Mom's response. Not this semester. Tyler's baseball fees are due. One congratulations card from my high school graduation with a $50 check inside. I'd never received it. Never even knew it existed. That was it. 4 years of college. 4 years of my life. contained in 6 pieces of paper and a check they'd never given me. Tyler's folder was 4 inches thick. Mine was a 1/4 inch. Even in filing, I was an afterthought. I photographed everything. Then I put it all back exactly as I'd found it. My hands had stopped shaking. I felt cold, detached. I'd needed to see it to believe it. Now I believed it. Back in Priya's car, I pulled up the photos on my phone. $127,480 in the UTMA account. $43,000 in the 529 plan. $170,480 total saved for Tyler. $0 for me. Jesus Christ, Priya breathed, looking at the screen. Jazz, this is insane. They planned his graduate school, I said. My voice sounded distant. They have notes. They have timelines. They've been planning his entire educational future since he was 13 days old. What did they plan for you? I showed her my folder. 6 pieces of paper. Priya's expression shifted from shock to rage. You need to talk to a lawyer. What would a lawyer do? It's not illegal to be a shitty parent. No, but this might be. Financial discrimination, emotional abuse. There are legal protections. I don't want to sue my parents. Then, what do you want? I stared at the photos on my phone, at the numbers that proved what I'd always suspected, but never wanted to believe. I want them to admit it, I said. I want everyone to know what they did. I want them to lose the ability to pretend they're good parents. Priya was quiet for a moment. Then we need more than just bank statements, she said. We need a pattern. We need proof this wasn't just about money, it was about 22 years of choosing him over you. She was right. Timeline, I said. Every major event. Every time they showed up for him and not for me. Every dollar they spent on him versus what they denied me. Can you do that? I thought about my childhood, about the mental tally I'd been keeping for years, about every missed award ceremony, every forgotten birthday, every time I'd been told to understand. Yeah, I said, I can do that. It took me 4 days to build the timeline. 4 days of going through old photos, old emails, old text messages I'd never deleted because some pathetic part of me had wanted to preserve evidence that my family existed. 4 days of reliving every disappointment. I made a spreadsheet, color-coded, chronological, obsessively detailed. The Chen family disparity timeline, a 22-year analysis. Priya had suggested the title. If you're going to do this, she'd said, make it official. Make it look like a legal document. So I did. Age 7 Jasmine versus age 0 Tyler born. Tyler's birth. Parents took 6 weeks parental leave combined. Jasmine's concerns. Parents forgot to pick me up from school twice in 3 months, absorbed in newborn care. First instance of Tyler needs more attention right now. Financial disparity. Tyler's nursery renovation. $3,500. Jasmine's requested new bed. Old one, broken. Maybe next year. Age 8 Jasmine versus age 1 Tyler. Jasmine's achievement. School art show. Advanced placement. Painting displayed. Parents' attendance. Arrived 52 minutes late. Art show ended at 8 p.m. Arrived 7:52 p.m. Reason. Tyler's bedtime routine. Time spent viewing my work. 90 seconds. Tyler's first birthday party. 6 hours, 35 guests. Professional photographer. Custom cake. $850. Jasmine's 8th birthday. Family dinner at Olive Garden. 45 minutes. $67 total. Financial disparity. $783 difference in birthday celebration costs. Age 10 Jasmine versus age 3 Tyler. Jasmine's birthday. March 3rd, $12 grocery store cake. Tyler's birthday. March 15th. $180 custom baseball-themed cake from Specialty Bakery. Photos taken, Jasmine, 3, Tyler, 47. Financial disparity, $168 cake cost difference, Documented. Age 1-2 Jasmine versus Age 5 Tyler. Jasmine makes regional debate team. Top 20 inches, state. Parents' response. That's wonderful, honey. Via text. No celebration. Tyler's soccer team makes local playoffs, recreational league, participation-based. Parents' response. Day off work, 12-hour tournament attendance, celebration dinner at his favorite restaurant, $156 receipt found in old files. Dad's Facebook post. So proud of our champion. Tyler's team made playoffs. He's going to be a star. Dad's Facebook mentions of Jasmine's debate achievement. 0. Age 1-4 Jasmine versus Age 7 Tyler. Jasmine requests $400 SAT prep course. Parents' response. That's expensive. Can't you study on your own? There are library books. Course denied. Tyler's coach recommends private pitching lessons. $150. Session. Twice monthly. Parents' response. Signed him up within 1 week. Total annual cost. $3,600. Duration. 3 years through age 10. Total spent on Tyler's pitching coach. $10,800. Financial disparity. $10,800 approved for Tyler versus $400 denied for Jasmine. Age 1-5 Jasmine versus Age 8 Tyler. Jasmine's birthday dinner. Canceled day of because Tyler was having a hard day. Rescheduled. Never. Apology. You understand, right? You're older. Tyler's birthday. Full day event. Trampoline park $340. Plus birthday dinner. Plus gifts $200. Plus Age 1-6 Jasmine versus Age 9 Tyler. Jasmine makes National Honor Society. Parents RSVP. Yes, will attend induction ceremony. Actual attendance. No, Tyler's t-ball game ran late. Photos of my induction. 0, they weren't there. Tyler scores first soccer goal, kindergarten rec league. Dad's response. Half day off work, celebration dinner, 2.5 hours, cake purchased. Photos taken, 23. Age 1-7 Jasmine versus Age 1-0 Tyler. Jasmine applies to colleges. Financial support offered, $0. Parent contribution, $0. Jasmine takes out loans, $38,000 over 4 years. Tyler age 10. Trust fund balance, $127,480. Parents' monthly contribution to his future, $500, ongoing for 10 years. Total contributed by time, Jasmine graduated college, $60,000 in deposits alone. Age 1-8 Jasmine versus Age 1-1 Tyler. Jasmine's high school graduation gift, $25 Applebee's gift card. Celebration, 45-minute dinner, cut short because Tyler was tired. Tyler's Little League Championship season. Age 11. Year after this data point. Tournament travel costs, $2,800. Age 2-1 Jasmine versus Age 1-4 Tyler. Jasmine's 21st birthday. Canceled day before Tyler's out-of-state tournament. Parents' response. We can celebrate next weekend. Next weekend celebration? Never happened. Parents' attendance at Tyler's tournament. Full weekend, Friday, Sunday. Tournament placement. 3rd place. Trophy received. Age 2-2 Jasmine versus Age 1-0 Tyler. Jasmine's college graduation. UW. Bachelor of Arts. Magna cum laude. Phi Beta Kappa. Parents RSVP. Yes. Actual attendance. No. Reason given. Tyler's Little League game. Game importance. Regular season. Game #3 of 12. Text notification. 6:47 a.m. day of. Celebration promised. Will celebrate later. Celebration received. Dinner 5 days later, which ended in confrontation. Tyler's Little League game that same day. Both parents attended. Full game. Game duration. Approximately 2 hours. Graduation ceremony duration, 2 hours. Games remaining in season, 9. Graduations remaining in Jasmine's life, 0. Financial summary age, 0 to 22 for Jasmine, age 0 to 10 for Tyler. Tyler's documented expenses and savings. Trust fund UTMA, $127,480. 529 college savings plan, $43,000. Baseball expenses ages 7 to 10, conservative estimate, $45,600. Birthday parties estimated average $400, year for 10 years, $4,000. Private coaching, $10,800. Tournament travel, estimated, $9,000. Equipment, uniforms, MISC, estimated, $6,000. Total invested in Tyler's present and future, $245,880. Jasmine's documented support. College tuition contribution, $0. Room and board contribution, $0. Textbook assistance, $0. $200, request denied. SAT prep course, $0. $400, request denied. High school graduation gift, $25. Birthday celebrations, average estimated, $50, year. Total invested in Jasmine's present and future, to $1,300 over 22 years. Disparity, $244,580. I stared at the final number. $250,000. That's the monetary value they'd placed on the difference between their children. Tyler, $245,880. Me, $1,300. I added one more section. Pattern analysis. Attendance rate at major life events. Tyler's events, 94% attendance. Parents missed 2 of 35 documented events. Jasmine's events, 31% attendance. Parents missed 22 of 32 documented events. Response time to achievements. Tyler's achievements, average 0 to 24 hours to celebration. Jasmine's achievements, average 3 to 7 days to acknowledgement, often via text. Financial investment ratio. Per year of life. Tyler, $24,588. Jasmine, $59. Photo documentation. Tyler, 1,847 photos in parents' Facebook albums, ages 0 to 10. Jasmine, 394 photos, ages 0 to 22. I saved the spreadsheet. Sent it to Priya. She called me 4 minutes later. Holy shit, Jas. Yeah. This isn't just favoritism. This is systematic exclusion. I know. What are you going to do with this? I looked at the document on my screen. 22 years of my life reduced to data points and dollar signs. Proof that I'd been right all along, that I wasn't crazy or sensitive or ungrateful. I was just unwanted. I don't know yet, I said. But I'm not staying quiet anymore. Priya came over that night. She didn't ask if I wanted company. She just showed up at 7:30 p.m. with Thai food and a bottle of wine that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. You're not eating, she said, unpacking containers on my tiny kitchen counter. And you're not sleeping. I can tell by your texts. So we're having dinner, and you're going to talk to me. I loved her for not asking if I was okay. We both knew I wasn't. We sat on my floor. My apartment didn't have a dining table with pad thai and spring rolls spread between us like an offering. Show me the timeline again, Priya said. I pulled it up on my laptop. 22 years of data. Color-coded cells. Dollar amounts that made my stomach hurt. She read in silence for 3 minutes. Then she set down her fork. Jas, this is documentation of abuse. It's favoritism. No. Her voice was firm. This is financial abuse through systemic neglect. This is documented proof that your parents had resources and chose to withhold them from you while providing them to your brother. This isn't just unfair parenting. This is actionable. I stared at her. Actionable how? Legally, emotionally, publicly. She gestured at the screen. You have bank statements. You have a timeline with dates and dollar amounts. You have a pattern spanning 2 decades. This isn't he said, she said. This is evidence. The word hung in the air. Evidence. What would I even do with evidence? I asked. Sue them? For what? Being bad parents. Maybe. I don't know. But you could talk to a lawyer. Find out what your options are. She paused. At minimum, you could confront them with this. Make them see it in black and white. Make them unable to deny it. I thought about the dinner 5 days ago, about their excuses and deflections, about Mom's nervous laugh when I'd asked about the trust fund. They'll just make excuses again, I said. They'll say Tyler needs it more, or they didn't have the money when I was younger, or, not if you have proof they're lying. Priya tapped the screen. This document proves they had money. They saved $500 a month for 10 years. That's not, we were struggling. That's we chose not to help you. She was right. I knew she was right. But there was still this part of me, small and pathetic and desperate, that wanted to give them another chance, that wanted to believe they could explain this in a way that would make sense. What if I'm overreacting? I said quietly. What if this is just normal parent stuff and I'm being dramatic? Priya set down her wine glass. Jas, look at me. I did. Your parents skipped your college graduation for your brother's Little League game, his 3rd game of the season. They had $170,000 saved for him and 0 saved for you. They attended 94% of his events and 31% of yours. Her voice was steady. Certain. That's not normal. That's not you being dramatic. That's 22 years of systematic rejection, and you deserve to be angry about it. Something in my chest cracked. I am angry, I whispered. I'm so angry I can't sleep. I'm so angry I can barely breathe. And I feel guilty for being angry because they're my parents and I'm supposed to love them and you can love them and be angry at them. Those things can exist at the same time. I pressed my palms against my eyes. Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. I cried. Priya moved the food containers aside and pulled me into a hug. She didn't tell me it was okay. She didn't tell me things would get better. She just held me while I sobbed into her shoulder, 22 years of hurt pouring out in this tiny apartment that I paid for with coffee shop wages. When I finally stopped, she pulled back and looked at me. Here's what we're going to do, she said. Tomorrow, we're going to find you a lawyer. Just a consultation. Just to understand your options. You don't have to do anything with the information. But you deserve to know what's possible. I can't afford a lawyer. A lot of family lawyers do free consultations. We'll find one. She squeezed my hand. You don't have to decide anything tonight, but you need to at least know what you're working with. I nodded. Okay. Okay. She stayed until midnight. We didn't talk about my parents again. We just watched bad reality TV and ate ice cream and pretended, for a few hours, that my world wasn't falling apart. But when she left, I opened my laptop again, looked at the timeline, looked at the numbers. $244,580. That's what they'd decided I wasn't worth. I started searching for family lawyers at 1 a.m. By 2 a.m., I'd found one. Patricia Morrison, family law attorney. Specializing in divorce, custody, estate disputes, family financial matters. Free 30-minute consultation. I sent an email before I could talk myself out of it. Subject: Consultation request. Family financial discrimination. Miss Morrison, my name is Jasmine Chen. I'm 22 years old. My parents saved $170,480 for my younger brother's education and $0 for mine. they missed my college graduation to attend his Little League game. I have documentation, bank statements, timelines, financial records spanning 22 years. I don't know if what they did is illegal, but I need to understand what my options are. Is this something you could help with? Thank you. Jasmine Chen. I hit send. Then I closed my laptop and tried to sleep. I couldn't. She responded at 8:47 a.m. Miss Chen, I'd be happy to meet with you. What you're describing sounds like educational financial discrimination, which can be actionable depending on circumstances. I have availability this Friday at 2 p.m., if that works for your schedule. Please bring any documentation you have. Best regards, Patricia Morrison, Esquire. Friday. 3 days away. I took the afternoon off work, told my manager I had a doctor's appointment, which wasn't technically a lie. I was sick. Just not in a way medicine could fix. Patricia Morrison's office was in downtown Seattle, tucked into a building with marble floors and lawyers' names on brass plaques. I felt underdressed in my Target blouse and thrift store pants. The receptionist smiled at me. Jasmine Chen, Miss Morrison is ready for you. Patricia Morrison looked exactly like her website photo. 50-something, sharp gray suit, kind eyes behind wireframe glasses. Her office smelled like coffee and leather. Miss Chen, thank you for coming in. She gestured to a chair across from her desk. I read your email. Tell me more. I'd prepared for this. Practiced what I'd say. But sitting in her office, looking at her expectant face, everything came tumbling out. The graduation, the text message, the trust fund, the timeline I'd built, the numbers that proved what I'd always suspected but never wanted to believe. She listened without interrupting, took notes on a legal pad. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Do you have the documentation with you?" I pulled out my folder. Printouts of the bank statements I'd photographed. The timeline spreadsheet. The financial summary. She reviewed them in silence. 2 minutes passed. 3. Finally, she looked up. Miss Chen, I want to be clear about something. What your parents did isn't illegal in the criminal sense. Parents aren't legally required to pay for their children's education. They're not legally required to attend graduations or award ceremonies or birthdays. My heart sank. However, she continued, what you're describing is a pattern of systematic financial and emotional discrimination that spans 2 decades. And while it's not criminally actionable, it is civilly actionable under certain circumstances. I leaned forward. What does that mean? It means you could potentially file a civil lawsuit for emotional distress and financial damages. The legal term is intentional infliction of emotional distress. It requires proving that your parents' conduct was extreme and outrageous, that it was intentional or reckless, and that it caused you severe emotional distress. Do I have a case? She tapped the timeline. This documentation helps. The fact that they had resources and systematically withheld them from you, while providing them to your brother, that establishes a pattern. The fact that they missed your college graduation for a non-essential event that could be considered extreme and outrageous under certain interpretations. But these cases are hard to win. Family court judges are reluctant to intervene in parenting decisions. You'd need to prove not just that their behavior was hurtful, but that it was so extreme it goes beyond ordinary family dysfunction. She paused. That said, the documentation you have is more extensive than most cases I see. The financial disparity is significant. The attendance patterns are stark. I felt something like hope flicker in my chest. What would a lawsuit look like? Filing fees, legal costs, depositions, possibly a trial. It could take 8 to 12 months to resolve. It would be expensive, though I work on contingency for some cases, meaning I only get paid if you win. She leaned back in her chair. But before we talk about lawsuits, I want to ask, what do you want out of this? What would a successful outcome look like to you? I thought about it. I want them to admit what they did. I want them to see the numbers in black and white, and not be able to deny it anymore. I want my extended family to know what happened, because right now, everyone thinks they're great parents, and I'm ungrateful. I paused. And honestly, I want the money, or at least some of it. They gave Tyler $170,000 for his future. I want them to give me something equivalent so I can pay off my loans. Morrison nodded. Those are reasonable goals. Here are your options. She counted on her fingers. 1. File a civil lawsuit for emotional distress and financial damages. This is the nuclear option. It will destroy your relationship with your parents. It will divide your extended family, and there's no guarantee you'll win. But if you do win, you could be awarded damages. 2. Pursue family mediation. This is less adversarial. A neutral third party helps facilitate conversation. You present your evidence, they respond, you try to reach an agreement. It's cheaper and faster, but it only works if both parties are willing to participate in good faith. 3. Public exposure without legal action. You take your documentation public, share it with extended family, possibly online. This isn't legally actionable, but it does hold them socially accountable. The risk is it could backfire if people don't believe you or think you're being vindictive. 4. Private confrontation with the threat of legal action. You present them with this documentation and tell them you're prepared to sue unless they make financial reparations. This is essentially negotiating a settlement without filing actual paperwork. She looked at me. What appeals to you? I stared at the timeline on her desk. 22 years of my life reduced to dollar amounts and percentages. I want option 4, I said. I want to confront them privately with evidence. I want to give them a chance to make this right. And if they don't, then I go nuclear. Morrison smiled. That's what I'd recommend too. It gives them an opportunity to correct their behavior before things escalate. And if they refuse, you have a clear conscience about pursuing legal action. How do I do that? You need to be strategic. Choose a time and place where they can't escape the conversation. Bring printed copies of everything, bank statements, timeline, financial summary. Present it calmly. Tell them exactly what you want. Financial reparations equivalent to what they gave Tyler, adjusted for the loans you've already taken. And tell them, the alternative is a lawsuit. What if they refuse? Then we file papers. She slid a business card across the desk. I'm happy to represent you if it comes to that. For now, document everything. Keep records of every interaction. If you do end up suing, this paper trail will be crucial. I took the card. Patricia Morrison, Esquire. Family law attorney. 18 years experience. Thank you, I said. You're welcome. And Miss Chen? She looked at me seriously. What your parents did to you that wasn't okay. You're not overreacting. You're not being dramatic. You're holding them accountable for choices they made. That takes courage. I felt tears prick my eyes. It doesn't feel like courage. It feels like I'm destroying my family. They destroyed your family 22 years ago, Morrison said gently. You're just refusing to pretend anymore. I left Morrison's office at 3:47 p.m. with a plan. A real plan. With steps and goals and legal validation that what I was feeling wasn't crazy. Priya was waiting at a coffee shop 2 blocks away. Well? She asked when I slid into the booth across from her. She said I have a case. Not a guaranteed win, but a legitimate case. I pulled out Morrison's card. She said what they did is called intentional infliction of emotional distress, and it's civilly actionable. Holy shit. Yeah. So what now? Now I gather more evidence. Build the strongest case possible. Then I confront them privately and give them a chance to make reparations. If they refuse, I sue. Priya grinned. You sound like a lawyer. I feel like someone who's finally done being invisible. Over the next 3 weeks, I became obsessive. I gathered everything. Physical evidence collected. Bank statements. Full copies of Tyler's UTMA account. 120 months of $500 deposits. and 529 plan statements. My student loan documentation. All $38,000 in federal loans, broken down by semester. Text message archives. 2,847 messages between me and my parents over 4 years. Tyler mentioned 1,340 times. My achievements mentioned 47 times. Email archives. Every college application conversation. Every denied financial request. Every "we can't afford it." Photo evidence. Family Facebook albums showing 1,847 photos of Tyler versus 394 of me. Calendar evidence. Invitations I'd sent to my events with their RSVP responses, cross-referenced with actual attendance. I created a second timeline, not just events, but emotional impact. Psychological pattern documentation. Age 7. First time told Tyler needs more attention. Began internalizing that my needs were less important. Age 10. Cake disparity. $12 versus $180. First conscious awareness of financial favoritism. Age 14. SAT prep denied. $400, while Tyler's coaching approved $3,600. 10-year. Understood education wasn't equally valued. Age 18. College financial contribution, $0 realized I was financially on my own. Age 21. Birthday canceled for Tyler's tournament. Stopped expecting them to prioritize me. Age 22. Graduation, missed final evidence that I would never be enough. Morrison had said judges want to see severe emotional distress. I documented it. Evidence of emotional harm. Therapy intake forms from College Counseling Center started seeking help sophomore year. Journal entries spanning ages 16 to 22 documenting feelings of inadequacy and rejection. Academic achievements maintained despite lack of family support, proving I succeeded despite them, not because of them. Financial records showing I worked 30-plus hours weekly during school while maintaining 3.89 gigapascals. Medical records. Diagnosed with anxiety and depression at age 19, consistent with prolonged emotional neglect. I hadn't realized I'd been collecting evidence my entire life. I'd just been trying to prove to myself I wasn't imagining it. Priya helped me organize everything into a presentation. 3-ring binder. Tabbed sections, color-coded. Section 1. Financial disparity. Bank statements. Loan documents. Expense comparisons. Section 2. Attendance patterns. Timeline of missed versus attended events. Photo evidence. Calendar confirmations. Section 3. Communication patterns. Text messages, emails. Documented promises versus actual follow-through. Section 4. Emotional impact. Therapy records, journal entries, medical documentation. Section 5. Witness statements. I'd asked 3 people who'd witnessed the pattern: Priya, my college roommate Hannah, and my high school guidance counselor Miss Rodriguez, who'd written me a letter of recommendation and remembered my parents never showing up for meetings. Section 6. Legal basis. Morrison's explanation of intentional infliction of emotional distress, precedent cases, proposed settlement terms. The proposed settlement was Morrison's idea. Settlement demand. Financial reparation. $85,000 equivalent to half of Tyler's current education fund, specifically to cover my $38,000 in student loans, plus $47,000 for graduate school, equivalent to what they'd planned for Tyler. Written acknowledgement. A signed letter admitting they systematically favored Tyler and apologizing for the harm caused. Family therapy. Minimum 6 months of professionally mediated family counseling. No contact period. 12 months during which they would not contact me unless I initiated. Alternative if refused. Civil lawsuit for $150,000 in damages plus legal fees. Is that too much? I'd asked Morrison when she drafted it. Is it too much to ask them to give you half of what they gave your brother? She'd replied. No. It's actually generous. You could ask for the full amount plus punitive damages. I called Priya on July 14th. It's done. The binder. The evidence. The settlement demand. Everything. How do you feel? I looked at the 3-ring binder on my desk. Months of work, 22 years of pain, all contained in one organized package. Powerful, I said. For the first time in my life, I feel powerful. When are you going to show them? Morrison suggested a family event where they can't easily leave. Somewhere semi-public, so they can't get violent or too emotional, but private enough for honest conversation. Your Aunt Susan's house, Priya said immediately. The family reunion. It's in 2 weeks. The Chen family reunion. Annual event. Held at my dad's sister's house. Usually 40+ people. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. Public enough to keep them accountable. Private enough for family business. That's perfect, I said. You sure you're ready? I thought about it. About the empty chair at graduation. About the trust fund they'd built while I drowned in loans. About 22 years of being told to understand. I'm ready, I said. I'm so fucking ready. I spent the next 2 weeks rehearsing. What I'd say. How I'd say it. Where I'd stand. How I'd respond to their excuses. I practiced in front of Priya, in front of my bathroom mirror, in my head while making coffee at work. I prepared for every possible reaction. Denial. I have bank statements, signed, official, with your names on them. Excuses. You had $500 every month for 10 years. You had resources. You chose not to use them on me. Anger. I'm not asking for permission to be hurt. I'm telling you what you did and what I need to move forward. Guilt tripping. I worked 3 jobs while you saved for his graduate school. You don't get to make me feel guilty for holding you accountable. Morrison coached me through it. Stay calm. Stick to facts. Don't let them derail you with emotions. You're presenting evidence, not having a feelings conversation. What if they refuse the settlement? Then you walk away and we file papers Monday morning. July 28th arrived. The day of the reunion. I woke up at 6 a.m. Couldn't eat breakfast. My hands were shaking. Priya texted at 9:30. You've got this. I'm here if you need me. Go destroy them with facts and receipts. I looked at myself in the mirror. Navy blazer, white blouse, black pants, hair pulled back, the 3-ring binder in my bag. I looked like someone who had their shit together. I felt like I was about to burn my entire family to the ground. Maybe both things could be true. I drove to Aunt Susan's house with the windows down and music loud enough to drown out my thoughts. 22 years had led to this moment. Time to make them see me. Really see me. The reunion was scheduled for 2 p.m. I arrived at 1:45. Early enough to position myself strategically. Late enough that most people would already be there, witnesses, audience, the family members who'd spent years telling me I was too sensitive about my parents' favoritism. They were about to see exactly how sensitive I'd been. I parked 3 houses down from Aunt Susan's, sat in my car with the engine off and the binder on my passenger seat. My phone buzzed. Priya. You there yet? Me. In the car. About to go in. Priya. Remember facts, not feelings. You're a lawyer presenting evidence. You're not asking for permission to be hurt. Me. I know. Priya. You're going to be amazing. Call me after. I looked at the binder again. 300 pages of documentation. 22 years of proof. Every missed event. Every dollar disparity. Every text message that proved I'd been right all along. This wasn't revenge. This was accountability. I'd thought through every detail with Morrison. Timing. Wait until after dessert service, when everyone's seated and relaxed. People are less likely to leave mid-confrontation when they're comfortable. Positioning. Stand near the back exit so parents can't physically corner me. Stay within sight of multiple witnesses. Delivery. Speak loudly enough for everyone to hear, but calmly. Emotion undermines credibility. Facts speak for themselves. Evidence. Have physical copies ready to distribute. Let people see the bank statements, the timeline, the numbers. Make it impossible to deny. Exit strategy. Have car keys in pocket. If things get aggressive, leave immediately. Don't let them trap me in circular arguments. I'd also prepared for specific people. Aunt Susan, Dad's sister, generally kind, had always been nice to me, likely to be sympathetic once she saw evidence. Uncle Mark, Mom's brother, traditional, might initially side with parents out of family loyalty, would need hard numbers to convince. Grandma Chen, Dad's mother, had made comments over the years about Tyler being the baby and needing more attention. Might be defensive, but she was also sharp, wouldn't be able to ignore bank statements. Tyler. He'd be there, 10 years old, innocent in all this. I didn't want to hurt him, but he needed to hear the truth. He needed to understand the cost of being the golden child. Mom and Dad would deny, deflect, gaslight, expected, prepared for. The settlement demand was in a sealed envelope inside the binder. If they responded with genuine remorse, if they acknowledged what they'd done and agreed to make reparations, I'd give them the envelope. We could handle this privately. If they denied, if they made excuses, if they tried to gaslight me in front of witnesses, I'd distribute copies to everyone. Make it public. Make it undeniable. I was giving them one chance. One chance to do the right thing before I scorched the earth. I took a breath. Checked my reflection in the rearview mirror. Navy blazer. Hair back. Eyes clear. I looked like someone who knew exactly what she was doing. I grabbed the binder and got out of the car. Aunt Susan's backyard was exactly as I remembered. String lights hung between trees, long tables set up on the patio. The smell of barbecue and potato salad. Kids running through the grass. Adults clustered in conversation groups with beer bottles and wine glasses. 45 people. Maybe more. All about to witness the Chen family drama of the decade. Aunt Susan spotted me first. Jasmine. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so glad you came. She pulled me into a hug that smelled like her signature perfume, something floral and expensive. How've you been? I heard about your graduation. Congratulations. Your parents said it was lovely. My parents said it was lovely. They'd told people they attended. Of course they had. Thank you, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Is there somewhere I can put my bag? Oh, just set it inside on the entryway table. Make yourself comfortable. I walked into the house, set the binder on the entryway table, where I could grab it quickly. Took another breath. My parents were on the patio. Dad was manning the grill with Uncle Mark, flipping burgers and laughing at something. Mom was at a table with Aunt Susan's book club friends, wine glass in hand, gesturing animatedly. Tyler was playing cornhole with two cousins. They looked happy, normal, like a family that hadn't systematically destroyed their daughter's trust for 2 decades. I felt rage rise in my throat like bile. Not yet. Wait for the right moment. I made a plate I wouldn't eat. Potato salad, coleslaw, a burger that tasted like cardboard. Sat at a table with my cousin Emma and her girlfriend. Jas! Oh my God, congrats on graduating. UW, right? That's amazing. Thanks. What's next? Grad school? Job hunting? Still figuring it out. Small talk felt impossible. Every word was a placeholder for what I really wanted to say. Did you know my parents have $170,000 saved for Tyler and gave me nothing? Did you know they missed my graduation? Did you know I've been invisible for 22 years? But I smiled and nodded and waited. Dessert came at 4:15 p.m. Aunt Susan's famous berry cobbler, ice cream, coffee. People settled into their seats, content and full and unsuspecting. This was it. I stood up, walked to the entryway, grabbed the binder. My hands were steady. I'd practiced this moment 100 times. I knew what I was going to say. I knew how I'd respond to their reactions. I walked back to the patio. 45 people. 45 witnesses. I positioned myself near the back gate exit strategy and raised my voice. Excuse me, can I have everyone's attention? Conversations stop. Heads turn. My mother's smile freezes mid-laugh. I have something I need to share with the family, I say. My voice is steady, loud enough to carry across the patio. It's about my parents and the way they've treated me for the past 22 years. Silence. Dad sets down his beer. Jasmine, this isn't the time. When is the time, Dad? When you're not busy attending Tyler's baseball games? Aunt Susan's eyes go wide. What's going on? I open the binder. On June 12th, I graduated from the University of Washington, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa. 4 years, 3.89 gigapascals, $52,000 in scholarships earned. I look directly at my parents. You weren't there. Mom stands up. Honey, we explained. You chose Tyler's Little League game, his third game of the season. You sent me a text at 6:47 a.m. saying you couldn't make it. I pull out the printed text message, hold it up. Here's the text. Can't make it today. Tyler's pitching. So proud. We'll celebrate later. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. We did celebrate later, Mom starts. 5 days later, after I confronted you about a trust fund I overheard strangers discussing in a parking garage. I pull out the bank statement. This trust fund. I hold up the Wells Fargo statement. The number is visible from 10 feet away. $127,480.38. Gasps. That's Tyler's college fund, I say. Opened 13 days after he was born. $500 deposited every month for 10 years, plus a $529 plan with $43,000. Total saved for Tyler's education, $170,480. Grandma Chen's face has gone pale. I pull out my loan documents. Total saved for my education, $0. Total I borrowed, $38,000. I worked 3 jobs during college. I ate ramen for dinner because I couldn't afford anything else. And the entire time you had $500 a month to save for Tyler. That's not fair, Dad says, stepping forward. Let me finish. My voice is sharp. I'm not done presenting evidence. Uncle Mark is staring at my parents. Aunt Susan's hand is over her mouth. I flip to the timeline. This is 22 years of documented favoritism. Dates, events, dollar amounts. I start reading. Age 8. My art show. You arrived 52 minutes late and viewed my work for 90 seconds. Tyler's first birthday party, the same year. 6 hours, 35 guests, $850 spent. Mom's face is red. You're taking things out of context. Age 14. I asked for a $400 SAT prep course. You said it was too expensive. Same year, you signed Tyler up for private pitching lessons at $150 per session, twice monthly. You spent $10,800 on his coaching over 3 years. Dad moves toward me. Jasmine, stop this. Age 21. My 21st birthday. You canceled the dinner I'd planned 6 weeks in advance because Tyler had a last-minute tournament. You said you'd celebrate the next weekend. You never did. Tyler is crying. I don't understand. My voice cracks, but I push through. Age 22. My college graduation. You RSVP'd yes. You promised you'd be there. You sent me a text 3 hours before the ceremony, saying you chose Tyler's baseball game instead. I pull out a photo. The one the stranger took. Me in my graduation gown. Alone. 2,400 graduates. 8,000 family members. I was the only person in my row with no one cheering. Aunt Susan makes a sound like a sob. But here's what really matters. I pull out the financial summary. Total invested in Tyler's present and future, $245,880. Total invested in mine, approximately $1,300 over 22 years. I let that number hang in the air. That's the monetary value you placed on the difference between your children. Mom is crying now. You don't understand, Tyler has special needs. He needs more support. Tyler doesn't have special needs. He's a healthy 10-year-old who plays baseball. I look at my brother. And this isn't his fault. He didn't ask to be the golden child. But he is. I pull out the settlement demand envelope. I met with a family law attorney. What you did to me is called intentional infliction of emotional distress. It's civilly actionable. I could sue you. I hold up the envelope. But I'm giving you one chance to make this right privately. Dad's voice is shaking. You're threatening to sue your own parents? I'm asking you to give me a fraction of what you gave my brother. I open the envelope. Read aloud. $85,000, half of Tyler's current fund, to pay off my loans and fund graduate school equivalently. A written apology acknowledging the systematic favoritism. 6 months of family therapy. 12 months of no contact while I heal. Silence. If you refuse, I file papers Monday morning. And all of this, I gesture to the binder, becomes public record in a lawsuit. Mom looks around at the 45 witnesses staring at her. You're doing this here? In front of everyone? You're humiliating us? You humiliated me for 22 years. You just didn't invite an audience. Dad's face is dark red. We gave you life. We raised you. We fed you and clothed you and you saved $250,000 for my brother while I ate ramen and worked myself sick. My voice breaks. I wasn't asking to be the favorite. I was asking to be enough. And I never was. Grandma Chen stands up. Robert, Linda. Her voice is ice. Is this true? Do you have that much saved for Tyler? Mom's mouth opens, closes. We were planning to help Jasmine eventually. Eventually? I laugh. It sounds hysterical. When? After Tyler's graduate school? After his wedding? After I'm 40 and still paying off loans? Aunt Susan is crying now too. How could you do this to her? You don't understand, Dad starts. Then explain. Uncle Mark's voice is hard. Explain how you saved $170,000 for one child and nothing for the other. Explain how you missed her college graduation for a baseball game. They can't. They stand there, exposed, while 45 people stare. I pull out copies of the timeline. I'm leaving these here. Anyone who wants to see the full documentation, dates, dollar amounts, bank statements, can take a copy. I set the stack on the dessert table. I want everyone to see exactly what kind of parents they are. I look at my mother and father. 2 people who gave me life and spent 22 years teaching me I didn't matter. You have until Monday to accept the settlement. After that, I file papers. And this becomes public record. Everyone will know. Mom reaches for me. Jasmine, please. I step back. I'm done begging you to see me. I'm done making myself smaller so Tyler can be bigger. I'm done. My voice is steady now. Clear. You don't get to pretend you're good parents anymore. Not to me. Not to anyone here. I close the binder. 45 people are staring at my parents with horror and disgust. Aunt Susan walks over to me, takes my hand. I didn't know, she whispers. Sweetheart, I didn't know. No one knew? They made sure of that. She squeezes my hand. I believe you, and I'm on your side. Uncle Mark picks up one of the timeline copies, starts reading. His expression darkens with every page. Jesus Christ, he mutters. Grandma Chen is reading another copy. Her hands are shaking. Tyler approaches me slowly. Jasmine? His voice is small. Did they really miss your graduation for my game? I crouch down to his eye level. Yeah, buddy, they did. I'm sorry. Tears stream down his face. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. I know. This isn't your fault. I hug him. None of this is your fault. He clings to me. Are you going to sue them? I don't know yet. That's up to them. I stand. Look at my parents one more time. Mom is sobbing. Dad looks like he's been punched. Monday. I repeat. You have until Monday. I walk to my car without looking back. Behind me, I hear voices rising. Family members shouting questions at my parents. Chairs scraping. Chaos. I get in my car. Close the door. And finally, I breathe. My phone buzzes before I even start the engine. Aunt Susan, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I'm here if you need anything. Uncle Mark, just read the whole timeline. This is unacceptable. You have my full support. Grandma Chen, come see me tomorrow. We need to talk. I'm furious. Cousin Emma, holy shit. Mom and Dad are livid at your parents. Everyone's on your side. I scroll through 14 messages in 3 minutes. All of them supportive. All of them horrified. All of them finally seeing what I'd lived with for 22 years. I call Priya. She answers on the first ring. How'd it go? I think I just burned my relationship with my parents to the ground. Good. They deserved it. How do you feel? I think about it. About 45 witnesses seeing the truth. About Aunt Susan holding my hand. About the look on my parents' faces when they realized they couldn't deny it anymore. Powerful, I say. I feel powerful. You are powerful. You just proved it. I drive home with the windows down and music loud. For the first time in 22 years, I feel seen. Really seen. Not because they finally noticed me, but because I refuse to be invisible anymore. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of anxiety, I'd expected that, but because my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. By midnight, I had 43 text messages. Aunt Susan, 10:47 p.m. Your father and Linda left early. Everyone stayed to talk. Jasmine, I'm so sorry. We should have seen it sooner. Cousin Emma 3 p.m. Mom just called your dad and screamed at him for 20 minutes. I've never heard her that angry. Uncle Mark 11:28 p. Read the whole binder. This is unconscionable. Whatever you need, I'm here. Grandma Chen 11:52 p.m. Coming over tomorrow at 2 p.m. Don't argue. We're having tea and I'm bringing documents. Love you. 14 more cousins. Aunt Susan's book club friends. Even people I barely knew at the reunion. All of them horrified. All of them on my side. The only people who didn't text, Mom and Dad. I did get one call. Tyler. 11:17 p.m. His voice was small and scared. Jasmine? Mom's crying really hard. Dad's not talking. Everyone's mad at them. Did I do something wrong? My heart broke. No, buddy. You didn't do anything wrong. This is between me and our parents. It's not about you. But they spent all that money on me. That was their choice, not yours. You're 10. You didn't ask them to favor you. Silence. Then, are you still going to be my sister? I closed my eyes. Always. I promise. None of this changes how I feel about you. Okay, his voice wavered. I love you. I love you too. After he hung up, I cried for the first time since the reunion. Not for my parents. For the little brother who'd been weaponized against me without ever knowing it. Social media was chaos by morning. Someone I never found out who had posted photos of the timeline pages I'd left at the reunion. Blurred the names, but anyone who knew our family could figure it out. Shared 1,847 times by 8 a.m. Comments ranged from supportive, "This is financial abuse, she's right to call them out," to judgmental, "You don't air family business in public," to people sharing their own scapegoat stories. The internet had opinions. I turned off notifications and made coffee. Priya came over at 9 a.m. with bagels and ammunition. Okay, so here's the situation. Half the internet thinks you're a hero. The other half thinks you're vindictive. Your extended family is having a civil war in the group chat. And your parents haven't responded to your settlement demand yet. It's only been 18 hours. I know. But Morrison said to expect a response within 72 hours. They're either scrambling to find the money, or they're consulting a lawyer of their own. I spread cream cheese on a bagel I didn't want. What do you think they'll do? Honestly, I think they'll refuse. Not because they don't have the money, they clearly do, but because accepting the settlement means admitting they were wrong. And people like your parents don't admit they're wrong. She was right. I knew she was right. So we're going to court. Probably. But you did the right thing giving them a chance. I nodded. The bagel tasted like cardboard, but I ate it anyway. The call came Monday at 4:37 p.m. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to pick up. Miss Chen? This is Richard Kowalski. I'm an attorney representing Robert and Linda Chen. My stomach dropped. They'd hired a lawyer. Go ahead. My clients have asked me to convey that they reject your settlement terms. They feel your demands are unreasonable, and your public humiliation of them at a family event was inappropriate. They're prepared to defend themselves if you choose to file suit. I felt rage ignite in my chest. Unreasonable? I asked for half of what they gave my brother. My clients maintain they made different financial decisions based on different circumstances for each child. They don't believe they've done anything legally actionable. Then tell your clients I'll see them in court. I hung up, called Morrison immediately. They refused. They hired a lawyer. They're going to fight this. Good. Her voice was calm, steady. Then we file papers tomorrow, and we make sure every detail of what they did becomes public record. Chen v. Chen was filed in King County Superior Court on Tuesday, July 30th. Plaintiff: Jasmine Marie Chen. Defendants: Robert Andrew Chen, Linda Marie Chen. Cause of action: intentional infliction of emotional distress. Negligent infliction of emotional distress. Damages sought: $150,000, plus legal fees and costs. Morrison structured the complaint carefully. Not just about the money, about the pattern. About 22 years of systematic favoritism that rose to the level of emotional abuse. We included everything. The bank statements showing $170,480 saved for Tyler versus $0 for me. The timeline documenting missed events, disparate treatment, financial discrimination. The text message from graduation morning. Witness statements from Priya, my college roommate Hannah, and Miss Rodriguez. My therapy records documenting anxiety and depression, stemming from family dysfunction. 300 pages of evidence, now part of public court record. The local news picked it up 2 days later. Daughter sues parents over alleged educational favoritism. They didn't name me. I was still a minor when much of the alleged abuse occurred, so I had some privacy protections. But they had the basic facts. College graduate with significant debt sues parents who saved 6 figures for younger sibling. Claims systematic emotional abuse. Parents deny wrongdoing. The comments section was a war zone. Half the people. Good for her. Parents should treat their kids equally. Other half. Ungrateful brat. Parents don't owe you college money. I stopped reading after the first 50 comments. The case took 8 months. 8 months of depositions, document requests, motions, hearings. 8 months of reliving every painful moment while lawyers dissected my childhood. 8 months of my parents' attorney trying to paint me as entitled, vindictive, mentally unstable. Morrison was relentless. Key deposition moments. My mother, under oath. Q. Mrs. Chen. Is it true you and your husband opened a custodial account for Tyler 13 days after his birth? A. Yes. Q. Did you open a similar account for Jasmine when she was born? A. No. Q. Why not? A. We weren't in the same financial position when she was born. Q. Mrs. Chen, Jasmine was born 12 years before Tyler. You had 12 years to start an account for her before Tyler was born. Did you? A. No. Q. Because you chose not to? A. We made different decisions for different children. Q. Is it true you contributed $500 monthly to Tyler's education fund for 10 years, totaling $60,000 in contributions? A. Yes. During those same 10 years, how much did you contribute to Jasmine's education? A. We couldn't afford. Q. How much, Mrs. Chen? A. Nothing. Q. Nothing. While depositing $500 monthly for Tyler. No further questions. My father under oath. Q. Mr. Chen, did you attend your daughter's college graduation? A. No. Q. Why not? A. Tyler had a baseball game. It was an important game. Q. More important than your daughter's college graduation? A. That's not. I didn't mean it that way. Q. Mr. Chen, how many games did Tyler have that season? A. I don't know exactly. Q. According to Little League records, 12 games. This was Game 3. You had 9 more opportunities to watch Tyler play baseball that season. You had 1 opportunity to watch your daughter graduate from college. And you chose the baseball game. Is that correct? A. When you put it that way. Q. Yes or no, Mr. Chen? A. Yes. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Teresa Martinez. She'd presided over family court for 23 years. She'd seen everything. But even she looked disturbed when Morrison presented the financial summary. $244,580 disparity. 31% attendance at my events versus 94% at Tyler's. The text message sent 3 hours before my graduation. The hearing took place on March 15th, ironically, Tyler's birthday. Judge Martinez reviewed the evidence for 47 minutes without speaking. Then she looked at my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, I want to be clear about something. Parents are not legally required to pay for their children's education. They're not legally required to attend graduations or award ceremonies. But this case isn't about legal requirements. It's about whether your conduct toward your daughter was so extreme and outrageous that it rises to the level of intentional infliction of emotional distress. She paused. I've reviewed the financial records, the timeline, the witness statements, and I find that your systematic exclusion of your daughter from family resources, while simultaneously providing substantial resources to your son, does constitute extreme and outrageous conduct. The disparity here is not minor. We're talking about $250,000 over 22 years. My mother started crying. Judge Martinez continued. Furthermore, your decision to miss your daughter's college graduation, an event she specifically invited you to, an event she'd worked 4 years to achieve in favor of your son's recreational baseball game, demonstrates a pattern of prioritizing one child over the other, to a degree that is, frankly, shocking to this court. She looked at me. Miss Chen, I'm ruling in your favor. Final judgment. Monetary damages, $89,000 covering my $38,000 in student loans, plus $51,000 for graduate education equivalency. Payment terms, $38,000 immediate payment to loan servicer, remaining $51,000 in monthly installments of $2,833 over 18 months. Court costs and attorney fees, $12,400 to be paid by defendants. Restraining order, no contact order for 12 months at plaintiff's request, renewable. Total amount my parents had to pay, $101,400, less than what they'd saved for Tyler, but enough to free me from debt and fund my future. My parents didn't speak during the ruling. They stood when the judge dismissed court. Walked out in silence. Their attorney looked exhausted. I felt nothing. No triumph. No vindication. Just emptiness. Morrison squeezed my shoulder. You won. I know. You proved you were right. I know. But winning a lawsuit doesn't undo 22 years of being second choice. It just makes it official. The family split was immediate and brutal. Aunt Susan's side, Dad's family, cut off my parents entirely. No holiday invitations, no family events, no contact. Uncle Mark stayed neutral initially, but after reading the court documents, he stopped speaking to my mother for a year. Grandma Chen revised her will the week after the judgment. Tyler's trust fund? Frozen until age 25, with mandatory financial counseling. My inheritance? Immediate payment of $50,000 plus increased annual gifts. I won't live to see you have the childhood you deserved, she told me over tea. But I can make sure your future is secure. 4 cousins stopped speaking to my parents. 3 of Dad's work colleagues distanced themselves after the news coverage. Mom's book club dissolved not officially, but people stopped showing up. Their church asked them to take some time away from volunteer positions. Dad was passed over for a promotion he'd been promised. Mom lost 2 part-time clients at the dental office. Tyler called me every week. We had careful, age-appropriate conversations about what had happened. I never badmouthed our parents to him. He was 11 now, still a kid, still trying to understand why his family had imploded. "Do you hate them?" he asked once. "No. I'm just really, really hurt. And I needed them to understand that." "Are you glad you sued them?" I thought about it. I'm glad I stood up for myself. I'm sad it had to come to that. He was quiet for a moment. "I'm sorry you had to do it alone." I wasn't alone. I had Priya, Aunt Susan, people who saw me. "I see you too," he said softly. "I know, buddy. I know." It's been 3 years since the reunion. 3 years since I stood in Aunt Susan's backyard and refused to be invisible anymore. I'm 25 now. Sitting in my 1-bedroom apartment in Capitol Hill, not a storage room this time, but an actual apartment, with a real kitchen and windows that let in light. I have a savings account with $23,000. No debt. 0. The judgment paid off every loan. I'm finishing my master's degree in clinical psychology at UW, fully funded by scholarship and the settlement money my parents were ordered to pay. I graduate in June. This time, I'm not saving seats for people who won't show up. My relationship with my parents. We haven't spoken in 3 years. The no-contact order expired after 12 months, but I chose to maintain it. They've tried reaching out, birthday cards sent through Aunt Susan, an email forwarded by their attorney, one letter that Morrison advised me not to open. I donated the cards unopened, deleted the email, shredded the letter. Not out of cruelty, out of self-preservation. Morrison had warned me. Reconciliation requires acknowledgement and changed behavior. If they can't do both, contact will only reopen wounds. They've never acknowledged what they did. They've never apologized, not really, not in a way that took accountability. Their attorney's final communication, after the judgment. My clients hope that one day, Jasmine will understand they did their best with difficult circumstances. Their best was $244,580 worth of favoritism. I understand just fine. My relationship with Tyler. We talk weekly. Video calls, texts, the occasional visit. He's 13 now, starting to understand the full picture of what happened. Last month, he asked me, "If you could go back, would you still sue them?" Yes. Even though it broke the family? Tyler, the family was already broken. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. He nodded slowly. I think I get that now. We're building our own relationship. One that isn't defined by our parents' choices. He's a good kid. He didn't deserve to be caught in the middle. Neither did I. My chosen family. Priya is my sister in every way that matters. She was my maid of honor last year when I married someone who shows up, someone who proves, every day, that I am worth showing up for. Aunt Susan hosts Sunday dinners. I'm there every week. So are 5 cousins who became siblings. Grandma Chen and I have tea monthly. She's 84 now, sharp as ever, still apologizing for not seeing sooner. "You were a child," I tell her. "It wasn't your job to protect me." "It was everyone's job," she says. "And we all failed." Uncle Mark mentored me through my master's program applications, wrote me a recommendation letter, helped me negotiate my first therapy internship. These are the people who see me, Who choose me? Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. My parents' current situation. According to Tyler, they're struggling. Not financially, dad still works. Mom still has her part-time job. But socially, emotionally, their marriage is strained. They've lost most of their friend group. They're excluded from family events. Their reputation in the community never recovered. Dad's career plateaued the lawsuit, and publicity damaged his professional standing. Mom is isolated, her social circles disbanded after people saw the court documents. Tyler says they don't talk about me. My name is a wound they won't touch. I feel nothing about their suffering. Not satisfaction, not guilt, just absence. They made choices. Choices have consequences. I didn't do this to them. They did this to themselves. What I've learned: favoritism isn't just unfair. It's a form of emotional violence that teaches one child they don't matter. Documentation is power. Evidence transforms gaslighting into undeniable truth. Going public is terrifying, but silence protects abusers. Lawsuits can't undo trauma, but they can provide validation and financial justice. Family reconciliation requires accountability. Without it, contact is just more pain. You can't lose what you never truly had. My parents were never really present. I just stopped accepting the illusion. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're survival. To others in my situation, if you're the scapegoat child, the one who's always told to understand while your sibling gets everything, you're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not imagining it. Document everything. Dates, dollars, events. Evidence matters. Find your witnesses. There are people who see you. Let them. You don't owe your abusers forgiveness or access. Protect yourself first. Going no contact isn't failure. Sometimes it's the healthiest choice. You deserve to be someone's first choice, not their afterthought. Today, I'm in my apartment, looking at my master's degree acceptance letter on the wall next to my bachelor's diploma. Both earned alone. Both paid for with my own resilience and, yes, with the settlement that forced my parents to contribute what they should have given freely. In 2 months, I'll walk across another stage. This time, row C will have 8 people cheering: Priya, my spouse, Aunt Susan, Uncle Mark, Grandma Chen, and 3 cousins who became siblings. Tyler will be there too. He asked if he could come. Are Mom and Dad invited? He asked carefully. No. Good, he said. This one's yours. I'm not saving seats for people who never showed up. I'm celebrating with those who always have. That empty chair at my undergraduate graduation became the most expensive seat my parents never filled. It cost them $101,400 in court-ordered payments. It cost them their reputation, half their family, and any relationship with their daughter. It cost them the ability to pretend they were good parents. They thought I'd stay quiet to keep the peace. Instead, I chose my peace over their comfort. I didn't destroy our family. I revealed what they'd already broken. And 3 years later, I'm not healed. I'm healing. There's a difference. But I'm finally living a life where I matter. Where my achievements are celebrated, not dismissed. Where I'm not competing for scraps of attention with a child who got everything. I'm building a future they never invested in. And it's beautiful. Final thought. My parents had 22 years to choose me. They had $170,000 they could have shared. They had 1 college graduation they could have attended. They chose not to. So I chose myself. And that choice saved my life. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Thousands of people grow up as the scapegoat child, the one who's expected to understand, to be independent, to accept less while a sibling gets more. You're told you're too sensitive, that you're imagining it. That family comes first. But family is supposed to be the people who choose you, not the people who make you feel invisible. If you're living this story right now, document everything. Find your witnesses. And know that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Your achievements matter, even when your family doesn't celebrate them. You matter. Even when your family doesn't show up. This is Achiever Betrayed, where we tell the stories of people who succeeded despite the families that should have supported them. Because sometimes the greatest achievement is refusing to stay invisible. If you want to share your story, reach out. You're not alone. And to everyone who's ever been the forgotten child, I see you. Your success matters. Your pain is valid. Keep going. Keep achieving. Keep choosing yourself. You deserve a family that shows up. And if they won't build one that does,